All right, let's dive into Proverbs chapter 16. Think of this as a complete guide to life packed into one chapter. And our goal today is simple. We're going to turn every single verse into a picture so vivid you won't be able to forget it. By the time we're done, this won't just be a chapter you've read, it'll be one you've seen. Let's get started.
You know that feeling, right? You spend all this time and energy making your plans, getting everything just right, and then life just kind of does its own thing. That tension, that dance between our plans and God's direction, that is the beating heart of Proverbs 16. So let's see how it all kicks off. Okay, verses 1 and 2 hit us right away. For verse 1, just picture this. A man is at his desk, he's written the perfect speech, he's practiced it 100 times. But when he stands up to speak, totally different words come out, words that are perfect for the moment. That's the idea. We can prepare all we want, but the final word comes from the Lord. Then verse 2 gets even deeper. Imagine that same guy looking in the mirror, thinking, yeah, I'm a good person, I'm doing everything right. But then the scene cuts to these giant, ancient scales, and God isn't weighing what he did, he's weighing his spirit, his actual motives. It's a huge reminder that it's not about what we look like on the outside, but who we really are.
So, what do we do with that? How do we live? Well, verse 3 gives us the key. Picture someone holding the blueprints for their entire life. And in this incredible act of trust, they just hand them over to God. That's commitment. And when you do that, your plans suddenly have a solid foundation. Then verse 4 zooms way out. It shows us this huge cosmic picture where everything, and I mean everything, the good, the bad, all of it, has a purpose in God's design. It's mind-blowing, really. Nothing is wasted.
Now we get a really stark warning in verse 5. Imagine someone with their chest all puffed out with pride, just so full of themselves. As they approach God, it's like two magnets with the same pole. They are physically repelled. Pride literally pushes us away from God. But right after that, verse 6 gives us the beautiful solution. Picture a white cloth with a dark, ugly stain called iniquity on it. Then two streams of water, one labeled mercy and the other truth, just wash over it until the stain is completely gone. That's forgiveness. Here we get this amazing side-by-side comparison. In verse 7, picture a person just walking down a path, and they're so at peace with God that two of their enemies who were about to fight just lower their weapons and shake hands. That inner peace actually creates outer peace. Then verse 8 asks us to choose. In one hand you have a single gold coin, but it's warm and glowing with righteousness. In the other, a giant, cold, shadowy pile of money that was gotten unfairly. The choice is a no-brainer. A little bit with integrity is so much better.
And now we come to it. Verse 9. This is the verse that really anchors the entire chapter. The visual is so clear. A man is hunched over a scroll, drawing out this detailed, perfect map for his journey. He knows exactly where he's going. But when he starts walking, his feet are being guided by these glowing footprints that are already on the ground, leading him on a path that's slightly different and way better than the one he planned. We plan, but God guides. It's that simple. So the chapter shifts a bit here to talk about leadership and justice. Verse 10 gives us this image of a king making a judgment. And as he speaks, his words literally have this divine glow. It's not just his opinion, it's divinely inspired truth. And verse 11 backs this up. It shows a set of perfectly balanced scales, and every single weight is stamped with God's seal. The point is, real justice, true fairness, that's not something humans invented. It's God's standard.
This digs even deeper into what makes a good leader. For verse 12, just picture this beautiful, solid throne. But the second the king does something wicked, you see cracks start to form, and the whole thing begins to crumble. Power without character just can't last. But then verse 13 shows the opposite. You see a king leaning in, smiling, just delighted to hear a citizen speak plain, simple truth. That's what makes a kingdom strong. Not flattery, but honesty. Whoa, okay, the tone just got heavy. The first part of verse 14 is intense. Just see it. A king's face gets dark with anger, and from his glare, these shadowy assassins, these messengers of death, emerge and speed off. It's a terrifying picture of how destructive anger can be when it's backed by power. But just as fast as the tension built, it dissolves. A wise person steps forward, says just the right thing, and those shadow assassins just vanish. The king's face softens, and a warm, life-giving light shines from him. His favor is described as a gentle, refreshing rain on a parched land. It's an incredible look at how wisdom can bring peace and life into the most dangerous situations. So what's really worth having in life? This verse puts the choice right in front of us. Imagine you're offered two things. In one hand, a huge pile of gold bars. In the other, a small, glowing orb of light called wisdom. Verse 16 says the choice is easy. You take the wisdom, every time. It reminds us that the best things in life, the things that truly make us rich, can't be bought.
I love the picture this verse paints for us. It's a metaphor for living a good life. Imagine this clean, straight, elevated highway, and on either side, way down below, are all these dark, muddy, tangled up side roads, each labeled with a different kind of evil. The person on the highway doesn't even have to fight them off. They just keep walking straight, high above all the mess. That's how you protect your soul, by staying on the right road.
Okay, here it is. Probably one of the most famous proverbs ever. Pride comes before destruction. Verse 18 is like a law of spiritual physics. Picture a person who's so proud they build this tall, wobbly pedestal, just so they can look down on everyone else. That's the haughty spirit. And what happens next is inevitable. The pedestal shatters and they come crashing down. It's a timeless warning. Arrogance always leads to a fall. And right after showing us that epic fall, verse 19 gives us the beautiful alternative. Instead of that proud person now alone in the wreckage of their pedestal, we see a group of humble people sitting together, sharing a simple meal. And they're laughing, they're connected. It's so clear that true happiness is found down here, in community, not up on some lonely pedestal.
So how do we get that happier life? Verses 20 and 21 tell us it's all about wisdom. For verse 20, picture someone listening carefully to good advice, and as they listen, a treasure chest literally appears at their feet. That's what wisdom does. It brings good things into your life. And verse 21 adds that a wise heart doesn't just get you stuff, it gets you respect. People will see that wisdom in you.
But where does this wisdom even come from? Verse 22 gives this amazing image. Understanding isn't just a fact in your head, it's a wellspring of life. Picture fresh, clear water literally bubbling up from a person's chest, bringing life to everything around them. Then verse 23 shows us how it works. There's a direct pipeline from that wise heart to the mouth. What's inside naturally flows out in your words. This next verse is one you can almost taste. It's one of the most beautiful images in the whole chapter. Just picture a close-up, slow-motion shot of thick, golden honey dripping from a honeycomb. Verse 24 says that's what pleasant, kind words are like. They're not just sweet to hear, they literally bring health and healing deep down into your bones. Our words have real power.
Now, we get a chilling warning, and it's so important it's actually repeated from an earlier chapter. Picture a path that looks absolutely perfect. It's wide, it's sunny, it's beautiful, so inviting. But as the camera pans along the path, you see what's at the end. It just stops, at the edge of a dark, bottomless cliff. It's a terrifying reminder that just because a path looks easy or feels right doesn't mean it is.
So what does the person who takes that bad path actually look like? The next few verses paint a pretty vivid and pretty ugly picture. Verse 26 shows he's driven only by his own appetite. Verse 27, he's like a treasure hunter, but he's digging for evil. His lips are like a burning fire, just scorching people with his words. And the result? Verse 28, he whispers and gossips until he breaks up the best of friends. It's a tragic portrait of a life turned inward.
And this evil isn't always loud and obvious. Verses 29 and 30 show us how subtle it can be. In verse 29, you see a sinister person not attacking their neighbor, but charmingly inviting them to walk down that same deadly path. Then verse 30 zooms right in on the tiny actions, a sneaky wink of the eye, the pursing of the lips, as he's cooking up his evil plans. It's a reminder that huge damage often starts with the smallest, quietest choices.
Okay, after all that darkness, verse 31 is like a breath of fresh air. It gives us this absolutely beautiful image of an elderly person with a full head of gray hair. And it says that hair isn't a sign of getting old and weak, it's a crown of glory. But there's a condition. If it is found in the way of righteousness. It's a crown you earn by a lifetime of walking on that right highway. So what is real strength? Verse 32 completely flips our whole idea of power upside down. On one side, you see a huge, mighty warrior breaking down a city gate. Total power, right? But on the other side, you see a person sitting peacefully, holding the reins to their own spirit, which is pictured as a powerful, fiery horse. And the verse says that quiet person, the one with self-control, is stronger. The greatest victory isn't conquering a city, it's conquering yourself. And that brings us to the very last verse, which takes us full circle, right back to the beginning. The image is unforgettable.
A pair of dice, the symbol of pure chance, are thrown into the air. But as they tumble in slow motion, a divine hand reaches in and gently arranges them to show the final outcome just before they land. It's the perfect picture for the whole chapter. We make our moves, but the final result, the decision, belongs to the Lord.
So that leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? If God is ultimately in control of the outcome, what does that mean for our choices? Well, Proverbs 16 doesn't say our choices don't matter. Actually, it says they matter more. It means we can act boldly, with wisdom and humility, knowing we're playing a part in a story that's bigger than us. So the question this chapter leaves us with isn't about fate, it's about faith. Knowing the final decision is His, how will you make yours? That's the challenge of Proverbs 16.